All right, let's talk about those people who just seem unstoppable. You know the ones. They just get things done day in and day out. But what if I told you that our whole idea of what mental toughness looks like is completely wrong? That it's got nothing to do with those big, heroic moments we see in movies? Well, today, we're going to dig into the real psychology behind being mentally unstoppable.
And this quote, man, this just hits the nail on the head. We've all been sold this idea from movies, right? The training montage, the sweat, the struggle, the epic music. We think that's what discipline is. But the reality? It's so much quieter. It's less glamorous, for sure, but way, way more powerful. It's all about that boring, consistent work you put in when the cameras aren't rolling and nobody's watching.
Okay, so first things first, we got to break down this discipline myth. We're going to unpack this popular idea of what discipline is supposed to feel like. Because honestly, it's the very thing that trips most of us up and holds us back.
Okay, check this out. This really lays it all bare. On one side, you've got what we think discipline is. You know, these intense emotional highs, this feeling of constant motivation, like we're the hero in our own movie. The big problem? We sit around waiting for that feeling to show up. And, spoiler alert, it almost never does. Then you look at what real discipline is. It's quiet. It's systematic. And yeah, a lot of the time it's pretty boring and unglamorous. It's much more like a simple habit on autopilot than some grand heroic effort.
So if the secret isn't waiting for some magic feeling, then how in the world do these mentally tough people actually do it? Well, that's what we're jumping into next. We're going to look under the hood at the psychological engine that drives real, sustainable discipline. These are the tools that make the work happen, period, whether you feel like it or not.
The first big idea here has a kind of fancy name: automaticity. But all it really means is putting a habit on autopilot. Think about it this way. Your willpower is like the battery on your phone. Every time you have to force yourself to make a good decision, should I go to the gym? Should I start that report? You're draining that battery. By lunchtime, you're on empty. Automaticity is how you stop that drain. You build a habit so strong that the action just happens. No debate, no willpower needed. It just goes.
Okay, so how do you actually build that autopilot? Well, there's this amazing tool psychologists talk about called implementation intentions. I know, it sounds super complicated, but I promise you it's not. It's basically just a simple if-then plan. Think of it like the dead simple programming language for your brain's habits.
And look how simple this is to set up. Seriously, it's just 2 little steps. First, you identify your cue. That's your if part. It's the trigger. So if it's 7 a.m., for example. Then, step 2, you define the very next action. That's your then part. And notice how specific this is. It's not, then I will go for a run. No, that's too big. It's, then I will put on my running shoes. You're making the first step so ridiculously small that it's harder not to do it.
And right here, this is the entire mindset shift. This is the whole game. The goal isn't to figure out how to feel motivated all the time. That's a losing battle. The goal is to build a system that makes motivation completely irrelevant. You're not waiting for inspiration to strike. The action happens because the system says it's time for the action to happen. That's it.
Okay, which brings us to our final section, the unstoppable test. We've talked about the myth, we've talked about the tools, now it's time to turn the spotlight back on you. How do you actually know if you're building this kind of quiet, powerful discipline for real?
So I want you to ask yourself this question, and be really, truly honest. When you have to do something you don't want to do, whether it's a workout, a tough project at work, whatever, do you need that little dopamine rush just to get started? Do you have to scroll social media for a bit, find the perfect song, or watch a motivational video to get hyped up? Just think about that for a sec.
Because here's the big reveal. If your answer is no, if you can just get up and start the work without all that fanfare simply because the clock says it's time, then you have a level of discipline that frankly scares most people. That's not a bug, it's a feature. That ability to act without needing the emotional hype doesn't mean you're not passionate. It means you've built a system that's truly, deeply unstoppable.
So let's just boil this all down, shall we? What are the big takeaways? Number 1, forget the heroic movie montage. Real discipline is quiet, it's consistent, and it happens when no one's looking. Number 2, you can actually build this. Use simple if-then plans to put your habits on autopilot. And finally, the ultimate test of your mental strength, it's your ability to just act without needing to feel motivated first.
So I want to leave you with one final question to chew on. Now that you know all this, what's the one habit you're going to put on autopilot first? And remember, don't think big and heroic. think small, think simple, think automatic. Because that, right there, is where the real work begins. Thanks for tuning in.